Okay, so for my spring exhibition, I decided to choose one of my writing prompts from the class Women Voices, and the writing prompt I picked was the effects of society's gender roles and stereotypes. So basically, I'm going to do an overview of the project, and then next I will explain my process on how I came about making the project, and then I will reflect on what I had learned from the project and what I have gained from this, and then I will have a Q&A and feedback from you guys on anything I should add or change. Okay, so this assignment was given to the entire Women Voices class for 5th period. Basically, in the month of March, we was doing this to where every morning we come inside the classroom, or every afternoon we come inside the classroom, we would sit down and we would pick between reading a IR independent reading book, or we will read the prompt on the board and basically respond to it anyway. So we could like write down our feelings or our thoughts about it or any information. During this month, we was reading several, we actually watched a documentary called Misrepresentation, and we was reading several other articles about gender stereotypes on society and how it affects people and the impact it has on their lives. So while writing this assignment, I used both my prior knowledge about gender stereotypes and the way society impact people and the impact they have on their lives by judging them by their gender. And I also used the text that was given to me from Ms. Fitz, my Women Voices teacher, and the documentary that I watched, once again, Misrepresentation. And it's about an essay length. I write a lot, but yeah, I basically put ideas that I had used from the text and ideas that I already knew from prior, before this assignment was given to me. I could read the introduction to you guys of my assignment. So the way I started out was the title, The Effects of Society's Gender Roles and Stereotypes. I said, starting at a very young age, children are taught about gender roles. It is drilled in their head through magazines, television, and even their parents about what gender roles are and how to fit in with society. As soon as a child is born, their gender is either celebrated or denied by society. If females don't follow certain obligations given by society, then they are perceived as a slut rather than a good girl. Many people are even able to go after aren't able to go after their true desires because of society's stereotypes deciding for people whether or not their desires is acceptable for their gender. Society has been attacking individuals for years by labeling, and something needs to be done in order to put a stop to it. One of my texts that I was given was called Girl, and basically it was a mother talking to her daughter, and she was explaining to her daughter about a female's obligations and what is expected of a female. So she was basically telling her daughter how as being a female, you're obligated to provide for a man and be dependent on a man and kind of play that under role like in society now, and it still happens, but it's been happening for like years ago. We kind of teach young girls at a very young age that basically that they not supposed to dominate over a man, that men are supposed to dominate, and that they're supposed to hold the higher jobs, and that females are supposed to just stay home, cook, clean. That kind of been expected, and like gradually we're changing away from that, but there's still problems today with that. I know one of the problems that's current is the gender wage gap when it comes to jobs. How if you was to take a female and a male and they got the same exact education and did the same exact job, that the male would still get paid $1 to the female 79 cents. So that just shows how even though this been going on for years past, this is still happening today, and the little changes that we're making are not enough. I feel like we need to make bigger changes so that we could hopefully reach gender equality, which I feel like will take many years. Of course, it's a lot of work, but we need to make bigger changes and stuff in total. What I learned about the impact that media and society can have on people. Before Women Voices class, I knew that media had a way of highly sexualizing females, and in most movies I saw the guy or the male was the one playing that main role, or he was playing that role. We had to like come in and like save the female and stuff. But I never really paid attention to her as much until it was brought into my attention from this class. So, you know, when we started watching documentaries and ads and commercials, just to see like stuff that I kind of just let go past me and didn't really focus on before, it kind of made me focus on now, like, oh wait, yeah, like he is playing the key role. Like, why can't a female play the key role in this movie? Or why he has to save the female? Why can't the female save the male? So that was one thing that I gained. And then I also had learned the true meaning behind someone's gender and how it differs from someone's sex. Gender and sex to me before this class was kind of like the same thing. It was like, okay, gender, male or female, your sex, male or female. But when I started Women Voices, I actually learned that your sex is basically what you're biologically born with. You know, your sex is defined based off when you come out the womb, if you have a penis for a male, or, you know, a vagina for a woman, a female. And that's how, you know, sex is defined. But when it comes to gender, it's not the same thing. It's not, oh, you know, you're either a male or you're either a female. It's what you define yourself as. So I never really understood that before this class, that, oh, gender is not what someone tell you are, or what the doctors say, oh, you have a boy, you have a girl. It's what you define yourself as. Do you define yourself as a female? Do you define yourself as a male? Or do you not really define yourself at all as anything in between? And that actually helped me also understand like transgenders and stuff. And, you know, if you were to talk to a transgender, like maybe how you could be more open-minded to where they're coming from when they say, oh, like, oh, you know, I felt like I always was supposed to be in a female's body if they was really born a male. But it's not about that. It's about how they feel deep down, not about what was given to them by the doctor when they were born. So that's something else that I had learned. Okay, so
you hit play.
I did.
It's okay. That's.
I was just like, right? Okay. So I also want to read the conclusion of my essay. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just the introduction and conclusion. So I said, in conclusion, there are many effects that society, gender roles, and stereotypes have on people. These effects includes having your gender either celebrated or denied. What I mean by that is, we was talking about in Women Voices how like it's popular now to have like a baby reveal. Like it's kind of like a baby shower, but instead it's just like a celebration just to celebrate the baby's sex or whatever. So like I brought it up to Ms. Fitz, my Women Voices teacher. I was like, well, why is it necessary to have a whole party and spend so much money just to celebrate the baby's gender? Like, is it that significant what gender your child is that you have to have a whole party separate from it? Like, why does it matter if your child is a girl or a boy? Like, you should just be happy that you have a child, you know? It shouldn't be like, oh, I have a girl, so let's throw a party, or I have a boy, let's throw a party. Because then what if that child grow up and, you know, they don't really agree with the sex that was given to them at birth? So it also says that society labeling women with certain obligations so that they are able to perceive as a good girl or slut. This was also from the text that was given to me called Girl. She basically was telling her daughter that if you follow these obligations that are given to you, then you are perceived by society as a good girl because you're fulfilling your obligations, you're fulfilling your woman duties, you know, your female duties as not dominating over the man, but, you know, taking care of your man, you know, caring for him, providing for him. But then if you don't, and you try to actually go against society and, you know, dominate over the man or get that better job than the man, or, you know, take in certain roles that society believes should be for a man, then you're perceived as a slut. And then I don't think she really meant as a good girl or slut, but basically as woman or non-woman or unwoman, you know, that if you're a good girl, you're more woman, but if you're not following these obligations that society have been letting go on for years and years, then, you know, you're kind of just, you're bad, you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to do in life, you're not fulfilling your duty. Effect is even limiting people's potential and curtailing their happiness. What I mean by this is, say a female wants to take on a male job that's like male dominant in that area, maybe a job that's male dominant. Maybe being a cop. I know there's female cops now, but like before, you know, it was more known as a police to take on the, you know, the job.
Well, still dominant.
Yeah. So, say a female wanted to do that. They're like, okay, I don't want to be a teacher or a secretary. Like, I want to be a police. You know, they go to school for that and everything. It's like, but then they're constantly hearing all these stereotypes from society, like, oh, what are you doing? What do you mean you want to be a cop? Like, that's dangerous. Like, aren't you scared for your life? Like, you shouldn't be taking that risk. Like, you know, you should do something that's more for you. You know, being a woman, you should teach, or oh, you should be a secretary, or oh, you should work for a man. But then it's like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. Like, this is my desire to become a police. But now it kind of makes it confused for the person, because it's like, I want to do something, follow my dreams, but society is constantly, you know, bashing me and making it seem like if it's a negative thing. So then it's like, most females today, they may have the potential to be something great, but society might be the ones that's holding them back. So,
Can you kind of wrap it up? You're supposed to keep it to 10 minutes, and we're at 11. I should have told you.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I said for both males and females, it's like never-ending battle where you have to constantly shield your desires from society, trying to shape you into what they think you should be. And yeah, I think this was just a great experience overall. I think I learned a lot from it.
Sounds like
and
it.
yeah, I want to take this class again next year.
Yes.
It was awesome. Any feedback or questions?
Feedback, amazing eye contact. You were prepared and you were confident. Growth areas,